a lot of Kuomintang supporters, a lot of Nationalist Party people identify themselves as Chinese Taiwanese, which is it's a weird way to describe yourself. But she was just straight up saying like, well, I kind of identify as Chinese anyways. Like, I'm from Taiwan, but I'm Chinese. And I was like, you see no problem with life under Chinese rule at all? And she was like, no. I was like, what? And I kind of stopped the conversation there, not because I was like disgusted with what she was saying or anything like that. I just thought any further the further we go into this conversation, the more uncomfortable it's going to be, and I don't want to do that. You know what I mean? But I found the discussion interesting anyways. And then it gave me the idea to make a whole video about it. What would Taiwan look like if it fell under Chinese control? And so I started to look into it and do a little bit of research, and I realized that this topic is a lot more complicated than I thought, because we'd have to talk about how it fell under Chinese rule, because that would change things quite a bit. And that's what I wanted to talk with you guys today. And maybe in the chat, you guys can share your ideas, and I'll share mine, and it can be like a thing. And maybe I'll still make a full video about it. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. It just takes a lot of research and a lot of, because it's speculative, right? So you can never really be right, if that makes sense. So I hope that sets the stage for today's stream. Does Taiwan have the migration like Europe and the U.S.? Couldn't the mainland just flood the island with millions of sympathetic voters? They could, but again, we'd have to get down to how they took control of Taiwan. Stanley says, is your lighting set up? But it looks like you're getting a bit pudgy, Prozzy. Am I? Well, I apologize if my weight does not meet your standards for YouTubers. I cannot do anything about that right now, Stanley. So you're going to have to deal with my pudginess, unfortunately. Jampan says, people will be doing squatty potty in the streets for sure. I don't... That's another, that we look to the future. If you look at what Taiwan will look like in like 1 or 2 generations, maybe. Dogs would be back on the menu. Yeah. So there's lots of ideas already. But let's just say Taiwan somehow became a province of China. Okay, so it was basically the same as any other province. Okay, so if it fell under if it fell under one country, two systems, like Hong Kong or Macau, we'll talk about that a bit later. But if it was just like any province, then a lot would change. And I lived in China, as you guys know, for 4 years. I saw how Chinese people live their lives and how different it is to Taiwanese people. And I think one of the interesting things that I think that a lot of Taiwanese people wouldn't like at first is the hukou system. Now, the hukou system is where you are registered to the city you were born in. So let's say, for example, you were born in Jiayi City, okay, which is sort of central Taiwan. You're registered to Jiayi, okay, and that means that your healthcare is only available to you pretty much in Jiayi. And the schools that your children go to have to be in Jiayi. But let's say, for example, I'll just share with you what happens in China. So like if you grew up in rural China, but you have a wife and kids, but you want to move to Beijing for a better future because there's more money to be had in Beijing, well, now you have a choice. You can take your kids with you to Beijing, but they won't be able to go to school because they're not registered in Beijing. Or you can leave your kids in wherever your rural hometown is and have your grandparents raise them where they can go to school and can get health care. And there's actually a name, they're called leftover children or something, or forgotten children. And it's really annoying. And I remember living in China and so many of my Chinese friends being so annoyed by this. Now, you can get permission from the government, but that's just an annoying extra step. And I don't remember it being particularly difficult for my Chinese friends to get permission from the government. However, if that system, the hukou system, was implemented here in Taiwan, well, now you have a problem, because if you voted for the DPP in the past, or if the separatists, or if you ever voiced criticisms of the CCP in the past, chances are they're not going to give you that permission. They want you to stay right where you are, and they can restrict your freedom, your movement. And that's another big reason why a lot of Chinese people haven't left their hometowns. It's kind of there's a dual reason. One reason is that hukou system. They can't, because they would lose their education for their family and all the other things that are tied to their hometowns. And the other thing is just that, culturally speaking, Chinese people are extremely fond of their hometowns, and they view their hometowns as if it's the best place on earth, and there's really no need to move because it's the best. So that's one way. That's one way I think life in Taiwan would change if it were to become a province, we'll say. Suzhou's in the chat. How do you get into power is how you'll rule. Yeah. Again, I think that's getting into how China takes Taiwan. Grimaces, would the high-speed train be a tofu bridge or a tofu tunnel connecting the two? Well, yeah, I mean, this is one thing, because there's also, I'm sure we're going to get some people in the chat arguing for some of the ways that life in Taiwan would improve. And I think when you look at infrastructure, I think that's where you're going to get into some interesting discussion, because some people would argue that China would improve Taiwan's infrastructure because Taiwan's infrastructure appears quite old and outdated. And they think that because China's infrastructure appears quite new, that it would update Taiwan and make it look a little bit more modern and beautiful. The problem with that is that, like he's saying with tofu buildings, it's not like Chinese infrastructure is any good. So there's that. And I think that Taiwan's infrastructure issues are down to the individual builder. Like overall, they've got quite good infrastructure that is able to withstand earthquakes and things like that, because Taiwan gets hit with so many natural disasters. But I think the builders, because they're not being paid particularly all that well, don't take any pride in their craft, if that makes sense. Like, I was just in my friend's apartment today, and it's new. Like, I think she's the first one to have moved in there, or at least one of the first. Like, this building cannot be more than a year old. And you can just see how if a Western inspector came into that apartment and was looking at their work, they would like throw up, you know? It's just a different mentality, I think. Stanley says, would you ever visit back to China again? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't risk going back to China. Nicholas Markovich says, citizenship of a city. Don't know what that means. 42, Taiwan is strategically more valuable as a bargaining chip for China to put pressure on the USA. I don't know. Later on in the stream, I found some forums online that talk about this that I'll share with you guys. And one of the opinions on there is like, oh, you know, China has no benefit from getting Taiwan. but I'm not entirely sure that's true. But we'll look at his comment later on. Hong Kong National Security Police have arrested 316 people who've involved in democracy events. Oh yeah, and I'm sure it would be like that here in Taiwan, but like way worse. Nicholas says, can't they bribe school officials to let their kids into schools in a city that's not in their hukou? Oh yeah, they absolutely can. They absolutely do. But I also think that if the hukou system were to be implemented in Taiwan, I'm pretty sure, based off my experience working in schools here in Taiwan, that it would be the same thing. Like Taiwan and China don't differ that much when it comes to bribery, unfortunately. But yeah. Copper Newt says they'd probably pick everything clean and make the whole east coast of the island consist entirely of military bases. Yeah, I think that's definitely probably what's most likely to happen is that they would heavily militarize and defend Taiwan, because it's not enough just to take Taiwan. Holding Taiwan is like more important, or just as important. And they would need like a huge police force or a military force in order to maintain it. So that would be like obviously, I think that's like one of the things that are almost guaranteed. Let me try and see if I can share this stream again really quickly while I wait for you guys to come. Oh, I did it, thank God. Hang on, live now. Click the link. All right. Let's close this. OBS is still running, thank God. I don't know what's going on with OBS lately. All right. Oh, Nicholas has clarified. You were talking about the hukou, which is pretty much a Chinese citizenship of a city. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, exactly. It's almost like you're not even Chinese. You're like Guangzhounese, because you're so tied to your hometown over there. Yeah, I think that would probably be, honestly, like I think if we're talking about the way that Taiwanese people's daily lives are concerned and how that would change, I think that the lack of travel and restriction on movement would be the biggest thing affecting Taiwanese people, I think, anyways. I could be wrong. A red scarf would be mandatory for every kid in school, how the entire education. Yeah, so Fly Ting is talking about the education system, and that was another thing I was thinking about as well. And definitely something that I think would. Yeah, exactly. Like, I think as the generations go on, the whole idea of Taiwan's independence and Taiwanese democracy would slowly get phased out of school books, like as if it didn't happen. Like think like Tiananmen Square, like first they would be labeled as like terrorists or something, or separatists or unpatriotic people. And then as a few generations go on, they'd be like, wait, what independence? Wait, what? The Kuomintang, what? The DPP, what? Like, who are they? Like, I think, you know what I mean? Like, the education system would be, like, completely flipped on its head. And then I think within a few generations, Taiwanese people would just see themselves as Chinese completely, right? Like, look how quickly, it only took one, maybe two generations of Taiwanese people to view themselves as solely Taiwanese and not Chinese anymore, right? Like a generation ago, Taiwanese people viewed themselves as Chinese, just not communists, but they are Chinese. And now I think many people on the island view themselves as solely Taiwanese. So to reverse that, you can imagine how quick that would take place, especially with like, with them in full control of of the island. Stanley says, Prezi, I missed your motorbike tour exploring Taiwan. I hope you're able to do this sometime in the future. Yeah, on Monday, I was close to the mountains and I was like, you know what, I should turn on the camera and go for a ride. But then I couldn't think of like, well, what am I talking about? Like, I have no discussion. I can't just title a video exploring the mountains of Taiwan and expect people to watch it because nobody will. But I'll think of something. Happy Quill says, I have a comment on this subject, but later, would you consider commenting on the widespread structural beam cutting that has turned up in China recently? What? Would you consider commenting on the widespread structural beam cutting? Let me Google this really quickly. Structural beam cutting in China. Is this a thing? I don't see anything on Google. I'm not really sure what, you're going to have to be a little bit more specific. The people who were arrested, totally banned to get a job because of a bad record. I think you're talking about the what? The social credits score. And I'm somewhat skeptical of that. Like, I think it's probably real, but I wonder how much they'd be able to implement that in a place like Taiwan when people are so aware of it, you know? Stephen Blay says, the state of the UK these days, I'd take the CCP taking over. Couldn't be any worse. Yeah, I'd be careful what you wish for, Stephen. Copper Newt says, also after that, their ambition will only grow, moving towards the Philippines and Indonesia, or even Japan and Korea for the next invasion targets. I don't know. Like, I wonder how expansionist China is, right? Like, that's typically a Japanese characteristic. The Chinese tend to move into places that they see as historically theirs. And I feel like they would have a really hard time historically justifying like places like the Philippines or Japan as historically Chinese. However, I wouldn't put it past them. And yeah, switch to simplified. Yeah, I think over time they might switch to simplified. This is why another thing we can do is compare it to Hong Kong, because if you look at Hong Kong's system, they haven't switched to simplified. However, you are seeing more and more Hong Kongese people use Mandarin Chinese. So maybe it's only a matter of time. So I wonder how long it would take if they did it ever switch to simplified. Stan wants to know if I'm teaching in Taiwan. No, I'm not anymore. I substitute for my old school from time to time, but I'm not teaching. And did I support the trucker protest in Ottawa? Yeah, that was an interesting one, because my family is from Ottawa, and they felt very annoyed by the truckers. But I felt like the truckers had good points, so I think I was more in favor of them. I have a video about it like years ago. Didn't I get my APRC? I did. I do have my APRC. Isn't Cantonese being banned in Hong Kong? I don't think so. Let me switch to, hang on. Let's find out. Is Cantonese being banned in... How do you not know what I'm saying, Google? No, Cantonese is not being banned in Hong Kong, but its prominence is in decline because of the promotion of Mandarin. Yeah, so I don't think it's being banned, but yeah, like some people are saying it's kind of dying out, or maybe not dying out, but it's becoming less popular, I think, just because there's more and more Chinese people moving into Hong Kong. And the same thing would happen to Taiwan. But because Taiwanese people already predominantly speak Mandarin Chinese, they don't really have to worry about their language being phased out. Because even in China, like they speak so many languages. Like when I lived in Guangdong, you would have Cantonese, Chinese, Hakkanese, local dialects within those cities. When I lived in Henan, each city had their own little like dialect. So it's not like the Taiwanese language would get phased out, I don't think. It's just the written system, because they use a different written system. That might change. Joseph Tang says, unthinkable, life would be unrecognizable, democracy and freedom would be torn down bit by bit. A guy from Hong Kong told you that? I think the guy from Hong Kong was lying to you. Maybe he meant being phased out. I think it's naturally being phased out. Like, I don't think it's being purposely phased out. I think it, or maybe it is. I could be totally wrong. But yeah. And so Joseph Tong brings up a good point. Democracy and freedom would be torn down bit by bit. But then you also said life would be unrecognizable. And I'm wondering, like, day-to-day life, how would it actually change? You know what I mean? Would it change that much? Like, okay, here's what you lose: the right to vote. You probably lose the right to travel abroad. You would have to ask permission from the government to leave, most likely. Or maybe not. Like, let's say they did one country, two systems, like in Hong Kong. Like, Hong Kongese people still have their passport and they're still able to travel. It's just that, you open a bookstore and then suddenly a van full of police officers come and takes you away. So there's that. What else would change? Like, you would see more military, because, they would have tons of military in Taiwan, patrolling the streets, making sure Taiwan's defended. Stanley visited Hunan and he loved it. I was on their glass bridge up high. Boy, that was something. Yeah. Hunan food's really good. It's spicy. Imagine all the Taiwanese using WeChat instead of Line. Yeah. Again, so that's the thing. It's like, would that even happen? Like, Hong Kongese people still have access to the internet, I'm sure. So I don't think, and again, this is where it gets complicated, and this is why I didn't make a full video on it, because it's like, well, what scenario are we talking about? Like, what do we think, chat? I'll ask you. Let's do a poll really quick. Let's do a poll. Everybody loves a poll. What is the, my God, my computer is about to explode. Most likely scenario of Taiwan being Chinese? What's the easiest way I can answer that, or ask that? We'll say one country, two systems, or sort of, what would we call it, like forced, see, this is the problem. Chinese people call it reunification. We'll start with those two, and then if we need more options, I'll add another one. That damn near destroyed my goddamn chat. Jesus Christ, I don't know what's going on. My computer, I'm doing this on my Mac, and it's like really not running very well. Yeah, gradually, not the boiling frog, yeah. Phil, did I spell reunification wrong? That would be embarrassing. I don't think I did. We got a 50-50 split so far. This is interesting. I'm just curious what people think, because depending on how it happens, it really matters as to like what happens in Taiwan. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be the same. Like, if it was one party, one country, two systems, then Taiwan would still have free internet, I think. Can't guarantee it. You know, they would still have a pretty strong passport. Um, they would still be able to travel. Like, the only thing that matters is that they won't have the right to vote, or they maintain the right to vote, like in Hong Kong. But the only people they can vote for are pro-Beijing politicians. So, I mean, which is technically cancels itself out, right? Because you wouldn't. It doesn't. If you can only vote for one party, is it really voting? You know what I mean? Uh, oh, I'm scrolling the wrong way. That's what's happening. Free internet. Press X to doubt. Yeah. There you go. You have my X for doubt. That's a game I played for like a little bit when it came out, by the way. What the hell is that game called? It's like that 1950s detective story. Nathan was just in Taiwan last week for the first time. Loved it. Damn, it was hot there. Yeah, it's fucking hot as shit. How old is your MacBook? 8 years old? No, it's a 2019. It was the last Intel Macs they made. I didn't know that they were making their own chips, the M series chips, and I bought this MacBook, and then they came out with the M series like a month later. I was so pissed off. Um, but I need to get new everything. Like, I need a new PC because it'd be better to stream on a PC. Because a lot of people ask me to play games, and I'm like, because I love gaming, but I just game by myself. Then I was looking at Twitch, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, do I really want to be doing that? And if I do, I need a new PC. But anyways, that's for neither here nor there. I don't think you guys would be interested in that. That would be a totally different. My mom's calling me. All right, I will accept this call. Mother?
Hey, stranger. Who owns a cat?
I'm a friend of mine. I'm currently live streaming right now.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Do you have anything you want to say to the chat?
No.
All right. Sorry, guys. My mom does
This is my
not.
little coffee.
There you go. My mom loves me. We're talking about what Taiwan would look like. I'm trying to talk about it, but I keep making it complicated, and I'm not being very concise about what Taiwan would look like if it was under Chinese control.
Now that sounds interesting.
Yeah, you
I'd
think
like to
so?
tell you something, but I'll text it to you.
Oh, okay.
Bye, Joy.
All right. Bye, Mom.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry. My mom sounds British. Uh, no, my mom's from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, which is it's an area of Canada that they have very thick accents. But my mom's lived in Ottawa for so long now that I think she's lost her accent. Um, she still has it a bit, but yeah, they don't talk like me. They have very unique accents. I don't really know how. I would show you, but I'm worried about OBS because I don't want audio to play. I'm not. We'll see. Um, okay, let's end this poll. We'll see. 62% of you said forced reunification. All right, so that would change quite a bit. So if it's forced reunification, we're probably talking about a war. We're probably talking about an invasion. And then what would they do to the people? Like, what's the most common outcome, you know? LA Noir, that's what the game was called, thank you. Damn, bad luck 2019 MacBook, I know, right? People are saying hi to my mom. Yeah. Taiwan under PRC control equals high social mobility, high PPP, low Gini coefficient, good wealth distribution. Prove me wrong. Well, explain what you mean. Like, why do you think that Taiwan under PRC control? It's my mom again. I'm sorry. My mom was calling me to let me know she's going to the dentist. uh, I apologize. I'll turn my phone off so you guys don't think that you guys are getting messages on your phones. Anyways, why do you think that they would get higher social mobility? Like, why do I have to prove you wrong? You have to tell me why you think that way. Matthias says, I would like to express more thoughts on the topic of this live stream, but I've got a layover in Shanghai in 2 days to go to Taiwan, and I don't want to have problems with the Chinese border control. Yeah, keep yourself safe. You never know what they're watching. But I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy Taiwan. She has an East Coast Canadian accent. Yeah, well, that makes sense. That's where my mom is from. My opinion means nothing. Read the wealth report. Okay, I know you're okay. Read the wealth report 2025 by Credit Suisse. I don't even know how to pronounce that. The problem is that nobody can report on the Chinese economy because nobody has access to that data other than the Chinese government. And even then it becomes incredibly difficult because of how the Chinese economy is set up. And then if you're going to read a report that was written by the Chinese government, why would they give you accurate results? So, like, I don't understand why you would believe that. I'll have a quick look. But, like, I don't understand why you would, like, why you would think that. Create highlight videos. Sorry, I'm just trying to... let me get into the into this report. There we go. No, I won't even, I don't even know why I would read that because it wouldn't, did I just cut out there? I apologize if I did. I don't even know why I would, yeah, see Copper New, do you think the CCP is honest about that kind of reports? Like, of course they're not. You know who is the perfect name for that Wu Mao? Yeah, definitely. If Taiwan had to rejoin China, keeping a Hong Kong, Macau-style system with a real autonomy would be more economically beneficial for China as a whole. Integration costs so much money. Well, I think whole integration would be like a long-term thing. You know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be... it wouldn't be... what the fuck? Okay, if you're getting an ad, I apologize. I did not know what that button did. I was messing with the monetization and it just added an ad. I didn't even know I could do that. My apologies. But since we had our first, we'll call it a pro-China comment, I thought it would be a good time to share with you guys this blog post that I found on Quora. Now, Quora seems to be like completely Chinese. There seems to be so many Wu Mao on there, but I thought that the comment was interesting and I wanted to share it with you. Now, unfortunately, before I do, I'm just going to have to quickly see how to see comments from YouTube, OBS. Seriously, is it that complicated? I want to share with you guys this post, which means I want to share the screen, but then that means I can't see your comments because OBS for whatever reason, isn't showing me your comments. And I'm quite new at OBS. Copy the URL of the popped out chat. Again, guys, I'm so sorry. This is, oh, pop out chat. Oh. Okay, never mind. I don't even need OBS to do that. Okay, never mind. We're good. Okay. So yeah, I wanted to share with you guys this post. I thought it was interesting. I was reading it earlier today. So let's go ahead and switch over to my screen. There it is. And of course the chat goes away. There it is. Okay. So yeah, so the question is, how would Taiwan people's life change if reunification with the mainland happens? I'm asking for Taiwanese opinions. And is it this guy? Yeah, so he shares like a really interesting anecdote. And it's a story about democracy, and I wanted to pick you guys' brains, the chat brains about it. Oh, we have a super chat, 70 NT. I'm Taiwanese. There we have it. Not Chinese. You see that? Taiwanese. And I don't think, sir, and thank you so much for the super chat, that you would ever accept being called Chinese, it seems, which I think is the point. But have a like for me, and thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Okay, a story about democracy. Before he died, the farmer asked his son, the pigs complain about poor feed. The cows complain about heavy work. And the chickens complain about dirty nests. What should I do? And the son said, just give the pigs the best food, let the cows rest, and clean the chicken coop. The farmer shook his head and said, no, do nothing. Give them votes. Let them choose to let you or your wife take care of them, and then let them think they have democratic power. They won't complain anymore. The son suddenly realized here the people's okay, sorry, that's just poor grammar because this person is clearly Chinese. But I thought it was a really interesting anecdote and a good glimpse into how Chinese people view democracy and view Taiwan. What are your thoughts on this? I'm curious, what you guys think about it. And if you could I don't know, I thought it'd be interesting to talk about it because I was reading it today. And it's one of the things that stopped me from making the video because I was like, God damn, it would be so interesting to get people's thoughts on it rather than make a video, because if it's just me talking about it, to me it's a lot less interesting. So Amelie Fong says, under Chinese rule with mass immigration, Taiwan's peace, calm, and warmth would fade. Scarcity and pressure would push people to grow more aggressive and wolf-like just to survive. And I think you're probably right. Like, I think even just like little things, like in Taiwan, and everyone talks about this, but it's true. In Taiwan, if you go to a cafe and you just like leave your bag on the table and go to the bathroom, like no one's gonna steal it. Like the only things that Taiwanese people steal are helmets and umbrellas, and that's it. But if you were to have mass migration of Chinese people into Taiwan, like they don't share that mentality. So suddenly petty theft would increase, including things like taking toilet paper from restrooms. Like that's something I totally forgot about. Like in China, if you go to the bathroom, you have to take your own tissue. They can't provide the public with tissue because it just gets stolen. As ridiculous as that sounds. And the same sort of thing would happen here in Taiwan. Like that kind of warmth that Amelia is talking about. Sorry, I didn't pronounce your name right. I think it's Emily. Jesus Christ. I just got a 1,690 nice dollar super chat, and I can't thank you enough. Namake. That's huge. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. And a message. Many people say Hong Kong is all the same. You can still travel around the world, but when something unfortunate happens, what will the government do? If the misfortune doesn't happen to you or someone close to you, you won't feel much about it. Yeah, I think like I think that's the issue is like Taiwanese people, and again, thank you so much for your super chat. That's huge. That's a lot. I almost feel guilty. I can't not accept it, but I feel guilty. Um, if you like Taiwanese people don't really fear their government, I think. What I mean by that is like they don't fear being swept away in some van, you know, and being locked away in prison for life or being placed under house arrest or being put into a re-education camp, something like that, right? Whereas I think in Hong Kong they do. And you'll see that more in here. And I think your super chat speaks to this person's response to that other person's question. So it's like he starts this whole thing off with like, if the Taiwanese can see the difference objectively, there would be no military takeover of Taiwan. Can prisoners of war decide their own fate? Like, what policy is implemented is not decided by Taiwanese, but by CCP of Chinese mainland. There is no doubt that the Taiwanese are not the initiative. The mainland is the active party. Taiwan has no bargaining chips, and the opinions of Taiwanese can be ignored. If Taiwan and the mainland achieve reunification, and here are like a bunch of things that he says would happen, Taiwanese do not need to perform compulsory military service. Students can go to school with peace of mind, and young people can find work with peace of mind. So the first part is probably true. Like, so Taiwanese males, they just switched it last year. I think they increased the mandatory military service to 1 year, because I think before it was 4 months. I could have that wrong. I think it's a year now. And I guess they wouldn't have to do that under CCP control. However, they say students can go to school with peace of mind and young people can find work with peace of mind. And I'm not sure what that means. Maybe because they don't have to do military service. Anyways, so the first one I think we can agree with, like that's true, unfortunately. Number two, like Hong Kong and Macau, as long as Taiwan does not mess around, Jesus, the central government will give Taiwan many preferential policies and will no longer be afraid of the financial storm created by George Soros. Forgive my ignorance, chat. I've heard of George Soros, but I don't know who he is. Jesus Christ. He's a Hungarian-American investor and philanthropist. As of May 2025, he has a net worth of $7 billion. Fuck. And he's 95, goddamn. Why, I don't know what financial storm. Someone in the chat who's smarter than me will know what they're talking about. Soros is notorious. What did he do? To what? No, we'll say this. Why is George Soros notorious? Come on, give me an AI overview. I don't want to read all this. Someone in the chat, I'm sure, who's way smarter than me, shorted many Asian currencies and made over $1 billion. He brought a large amount of other countries' currencies and sold it back, crippling their economies. Okay. So I guess if he's a troublemaker and causes trouble for financial gains. So I'm guessing what he's saying is that if Taiwan was under CCP control, they would be tied to the Chinese economy and therefore wouldn't have to worry about like these outside forces messing around. Okay, bananas and pineapples grown by Taiwanese farmers no longer need to be thrown away as garbage, and they do not need to be sold to overseas companies at low prices. So I know that now that farmers and suppliers, if they can't sell to China, then they have to compete with China, which means they have to sell their fruits at a cheaper price than China. Obviously, otherwise they can't compete. And so Taiwanese fruits end up being sold at a really low price, and it's hard for them to make money. So his argument is that they would be sold internally within China, because of course Taiwan would be a part of China, and therefore farmers would make more money, but need to be thrown away as garbage. Have you guys ever heard of reports of Taiwanese farmers throwing away fruit? And Namake's comment, there's another post I have open here about how life in Hong Kong has changed. So I'm going to go back to that super chat and discuss that in a minute. Another ton of Taiwanese would move to America? Probably. Yeah. I heard Japanese parliament member propose. Yeah. Who said that? Mick. I can't read. That's just a series of letters. Here's another poll idea for you guys, because I think this is interesting. What most? Let me find a better way to phrase this. How's about this poll? I'm so curious what people think about this. Love a poll, hell yeah. And think about the answer really quickly, because depending on how you answer, you might undermine Taiwanese sovereignty or doubt their willingness to defend and fight for their own country. But I'll wait for that poll to gather more votes. We'll move on. Number 4, Taiwanese businessmen no longer have to worry about the risks of investing in the mainland. Mainland enterprises and foreign-funded enterprises would also have a huge influx on funds to Taiwan, and Taiwan's infrastructure will also be updated, which is so interesting that he says that. So, there are millions of Taiwanese who do business in China and invest in China and all of that. And I guess if Taiwan were to be reunified, then they wouldn't have to be worried about political repercussions or being arrested or anything like that, which I suppose is somewhat true. But it's funny that he says that Taiwan's infrastructure will be updated, because China's infrastructure is so dog shit. It's so fucking bad. I just made a video about how my life improved, and one of the points was infrastructure and floods. And a lot of people say that floods happen in Taiwan too, but in China they're so much worse, and they happen not even close to the coast. I lived in Huizhou, which is not even near. That's not even near the coast, really. The city isn't anyway. And our streets would flood. It was ridiculous. Taiwan no longer has to pay the United States to buy American secondhand outdated weapon systems at high prices, and to buy a pile of broken copper and iron at the world's highest prices. The money saved can be used to improve the lives of Taiwanese. That's interesting. But what money would Taiwan be making if China took over? Because what was our original poll? It was a forced takeover? Right. So our first poll said that it was a forced takeover, that means war. And that means that every single chip manufacturer would be destroyed immediately. Not by the Chinese, the Taiwanese would do that themselves. If they felt like the war was lost, they would just destroy all of their fabs. So there's no money to be made in Taiwan without that, really. Like, Taiwan doesn't have much of an economy, at least compared to what it has now, if it didn't have computer chips. So it's like, okay, fine, they don't have to buy expensive American equipment, but it's not like they would be making a ton of money otherwise, you know? What benefit would Taiwan get from joining Japan? Japan's military is extremely weak. I think just the fact that getting to be Japanese is like huge. Like, Taiwanese people love Japan. They love Japan. And there's like, they kind of almost look up to Japan in a way. So to be able to call themselves Japanese, and yeah, the Japanese economy is really, the Japanese military is really weak, but remember, they're backed by America, right? Who has to defend Japan if they ever get attacked. So if Taiwan were to ever become a Japanese, if it were to become a part of Japan, then they would also be in that agreement with America. So they would be guaranteed protection. So they would get quite a bit by becoming Japanese. I don't think many HKDSE are doing a lot of Mandarin. I don't know what HK is. That students? Hong Kong students? As Taiwanese, we just want ourselves and don't want to be vassals of other countries. Yeah. If Taiwan unite with either Japan or the States, at least the military defense power will increase tremendously. Taiwan is stuck, by the way, the Chinese communists and the Western socialists / leftists. Are you talking about Hawkinese? 客家人吗? Oh, Hong Kongese. They're trying not letting you say Cantonese in school. Really? That's like early nationalist Taiwan, where they wouldn't let people speak Taiwanese in school because they wanted everyone to speak Mandarin, and they tried to phase out the Taiwanese language in the education system. That's interesting. I don't think many Hong Kongese are doing a lot of Mandarin. I wonder if like young people are, though, you know? Anyways, culturally, Taiwan does not have to always think about tampering with textbooks, saying that it's voluntary for Taiwanese grandmothers to be a Japanese comfort women, as long as the textbooks of traditional Chinese culture are quoted. You need to interview a Hong Kongese. Yeah, maybe I will. The trouble with interviewing Hong Kongese people is that a lot of Hong Kongese people are worried about doing those kinds of videos because then they won't be able to return home safely, or they wouldn't feel safe going home. You know what I mean? However, you did give me 1,690 NT for a super chat, and for that, maybe I'll interview you if you're in Taiwan. That would be interesting. Anyways, yeah, the so-called politicians, they put it in air quotes, so-called politicians, no longer need to throw slippers and pig offal at the parliament in politicians. The former politicians had better train themselves to be excellent economists and qualified civil servants. If the quarrel continues, Taiwan will only decline more and more. Yeah. So you can see, like, this is just like a very pro-China post. And it's like, he just has all his points. Like, you can see how well prepared this person is. But I also think, like, listen to how much they undermine the American military. It's like here, the Chinese People Liberation Army is preparing for war for 70 years. The Chinese People Liberation Army knows everything about the Taiwan Strait. The United States will not fight an opponent who's preparing for war in the Taiwan Strait for 70 years because the United States has no chance of winning, which is ridiculous. To say that they have no chance of winning is so wrong. And then they go on to explain how the United States would no longer be a world leader if they lost that war. It would be the most miserable country in the world, and many countries would not let it go. Because the United States has too many enemies, these so-called allies will only come together for profit. In this world, a country has been established for more than 200 years, but it has launched more than 200 wars with average blah, 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 criticizing the United States. Once the United States has been defeated by China in the Taiwan Strait, you can imagine the Americans' future life. Kick someone when he's down. There would be so many such countries. This world will always be so realistic. The country that retaliates most against the United States is Russia, followed by Japan, North Korea, Vietnam, Iran, Syria, blah, blah, blah. Japan, yes, Japan. Now, although the Japanese are treating the United States as a master, it is because Japan cannot get rid of the control of the United States. Once it gets rid of control of the United States, Japan will immediately bite the United States. Japanese is a ninja. The deeper it endures, the deeper its rebound will be. American don't naively think that the Japanese will forget about nuclear explosions, do you? Although that is what Japan deserves. Jesus Christ. Good Lord. All right, let's take a look at that poll. 54% of you said that Taiwanese would accept Japanese, would accept becoming Japanese, which is so interesting. 28 of you voted. This is like the wet dream of a Wumao, yeah. My Hong Kongese friend showed me a lot of simplified textbooks. That went down really quickly. Yeah, Jesus. Talk about like it escalated pretty quickly, you know? Well, what a hell of a statement. Oh, that's what they deserved. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy how he's trying to like, get on Japan's side and being like, yeah, right, Japan, come on, you'll join China and fight the Americans, right? Like, look what they did to you. Although you deserved it. You know what I mean? Like, you're a part of Asia. Once you regain control over your own country, you'll do the battle of, Midway the right way this time. You'll go back and attack the Hawaiian Islands again. Good Lord. Because, I know you won't forget about those Nagasaki and Hiroshima, even though it's exactly what should have happened. Fucking hell. Crazy statements from this person. But this is like literally, like you said, the wet dream of a Wumao, you know what I mean? Anyways, what's crazy is that this guy got 56 upvotes, which is the top comment to this person's question, which is what would Taiwan's life change if reunification with China and the mainland happens? Fucking crazy. But yeah, it's still a traditional Chinese textbook. Captain FAL says, when I went in Taipei, a taxi driver explained to me that Taiwan doesn't belong to China, but in fact Japan, because they didn't do the paperwork correctly, which is my new favorite conspiracy theory. That's hilarious. Yeah. I wonder, like, how much sediment there is there, like, towards becoming Japanese from Taiwanese people. But since so many people are talking about Hong Kong, and I hope... What the fuck? How has life in Hong Kong changed since the handover from Britain to China? What were some notable differences before the handover? And here I saw a lot of comments from people that are like seemingly, God knows is the internet who they actually are, but it's like pro Beijing Hong Kongers. So yeah, and by the way, someone says I think Taiwan should include Japanese as an option of a second language in school. I think a lot of people do take it as a second language, but just for fun, not as like a compulsory education. Stephen Blaze says I'm liking the car chat in the comments. There's car chat in the comments. Am I missing this? In my last stream earlier this week, someone was like going nuts over cars under communist control. Oh, it's like a Taiwanese comment, and someone's asking about the Evo and the RX-7. Why? I've given up on work now for the day. Nice. He's that invested in the car chat. Where is he going with this? Like, I wonder what... Like, it's so sudden. A car chat? You know what is funny, and an idea that I had for a video was like, I was bored the other day, and I was going on like random Taiwanese streamers. Like I was watching their videos, and I would just donate to them, just to see like what the reaction would be and if they could read my comment. If they could read my comments in English, and I thought that would be a really funny live stream to do with you guys. And he's talking about how the Evo is sold for way too much money in Taiwan compared to other countries. Gotcha. I'm late. Ah, Blair's in the chat. What up, Blair? What are we talking about? We're talking about a million different things right now, and it's hard to keep up, even myself. First, we talked about what Taiwan would look like under CCP control. Then someone started talking about how expensive cars are in Taiwan. And now I'm comparing life in Hong Kong to see what it would look like. He's bitching about cars he can't afford again. Yeah. But this first comment's really interesting because it seems a little bit more sincere. And he's saying, politically, I don't feel like we Hong Kongers are being respected by the government, nor the Hong Kong government. Our voices are consistently being ignored, and the direct control and interference of our own Hong Kong affairs by China just worsens this feeling. The so-called one country, two systems and highly autonomous government promises, they all turn out to be just farces. Too many Hong Kongers, including myself, we have this feeling of being chained up and hopelessness for tomorrow. And in colonial time, arguably, it was less democratic in terms of elections, but our voices were carefully listened to in public consultation and followed up accordingly. Whereas nowadays, there's more elections, but also sneaky procedural policies to counter our democracy. And I feel like it's less democratic than it was. And to sum it up in one sentence, a lot of Hong Kongers are not happy with the post-handover Hong Kong. This got 38 upvotes. And then in response to that, is this guy who got 64 upvotes. And he says something that needs to be made clear is that different people in Hong Kong have different opinions. Personally, I'm extremely optimistic about Hong Kong's future. If you say that this is because I'm a privileged part of Hong Kong's business community and that someone that doesn't have the benefits that I do would look at things differently, you're absolutely right. But there are different voices from Hong Kong, and mine isn't any better than anyone else's. So, like The thing I sometimes find annoying is that people will just complain, 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 but they don't talk about solutions. Yes, Hong Kong has a lot of problems. After a while, when people protest and protest and protest but don't offer any solutions, it gets old. One thing I find annoying is that people will talk about how bad the government is, but when the government tries to do something, they get no credit. For example, in the last CE election, people complained about the top candidate. So he was dropped, and the candidate was the highest in the polls got elected. He wasn't in office for months. Oh, he wasn't in office for a month before people were demanding that he step down. Every time the Hong Kong government tries to do something, the people will protest, and when the government does nothing, the people end up protesting that they're doing nothing. The government is listening to voices, but eventually you have different voices and the government just has to make a decision. You can't make everyone happy. I'm part of a Hong Kong business and finance community, and I feel that Hong Kong's government is listening to me. Part of the reason the Hong Kong government listens to our voice more than the protesters is that people like me don't just complain. We offer solutions. Like it or not, the future Hong Kong lies with the integration with China. That's just basic economic reality. Yes, people miss the British, but the British Empire died a long time ago. So I found this interesting because the points he's making is that protests just don't work. This was 12 years ago. God damn, so this isn't even recent, and it's about the 1997 handover, I think. But still, I think it rings true today, and how wrapped up, in a nutshell, the argument for pro-reunification is. Because you can see similar there's a similar feeling towards his post and this person's post, the one who made the analogy of the farmers. You know what I mean? But they both have such a, like, there's an attitude to it, you know, like they listen to me because I'm in the business and I know what I'm talking about and I've got the solutions and you don't know anything, you're just protesting. You know, whereas any other person was like, of course China will take over. You know what I mean? It's like there's a pride to it that's so tangible. There's a national pride to it that's so potent. But yeah, Stephen Blake says, serious question, is Taiwan later this if I visit Taiwan later this year, can I hire a proper big motorbike as a foreign visitor? I think you can, but you need a driver's license, maybe an international one. I did read somewhere there was some issues with it, like the insurance on it would be ridiculous. Like if you crashed it, you're completely fucked. Kyle Seraphim says, keep in mind that this comment is 12 years ago. CCP definitely ramped up their crackdown efforts with criticism of communism. Yeah, for sure. We're still talking about driving. Blair says, yeah, I feel like this probably doesn't reflect the current situation in Hong Kong. After 2019, things have been different. Yeah. Is there a risk that Taiwan could face a situation similar to Xinjiang, including establishments of concentration camps? I wonder, you know what that sounds like? Sounds like a poll, my friend. I'm straight up just gonna copy. Why can't I start this poll? Start poll. Oh, question is too long, that's why. I'll just say similar to Xinjiang and hope that you guys know what I'm talking about. Because I don't think you would be in this live stream if you... Yay, another poll. Polls for the win. Stan says they're just putting more CCTV cameras everywhere in Hong Kong now. On the streets, they got facial recognition, so if you jaywalk, you'll get You got a ticket in the mail in Hong Kong. I'm not kidding. Yeah, CCT. Yeah, I mean, they have security cameras everywhere in Taiwan too, and in England. Like, isn't it like you can't go anywhere in England without being on camera? You know what I mean? It would be a completely different situation to Xinjiang. But like how? Because the situation in Xinjiang is like, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. In the UK, there's tons of CCTV, excuse me. Let me have a quick look. I wonder if we can watch something. I'm gonna have to switch up the audio here, so bear with me, just to see if this works. If my internet can even handle this right now. We'll say Xinjiang travel. This is the problem, like you can't even find videos on the Xinjiang situation because it's all, like, China has done so much. I just got an email today from the Chinese government asking me to go and make videos promoting, like, their tourism and stuff like that. Because they're not called concerts, they're called re-education camps. There it is. China's secret internment camps from 6 years ago. I can't believe this news is 6 years ago. And like nothing. Sky News went there. Okay, let's see if we can watch this, but let me just quickly go back to here. Let me get the chat open again. There you are. Okay. I'm going to turn these things on. Let me get, you guys need to get audio input, I think. Actually, I have to add this to make sure that you guys can hear the video. Okay, I'm gonna play this video, and then you guys let me know.
On the streets of Xinjiang, there is still a tension and signs of what this place has been through.
Can you guys hear that? I just want to make sure. Rosie's been on this topic for 5 years. What do you mean I've been on this topic for 5 years? It's ongoing. Okay, you can hear it? Good. Thank you, Blair. Oh, the audio's duplicated? Why would that be duplicated? God damn it. I wonder. You've been making videos about it for 5 years, goofy. It's echoing. Your audio is doubled in a way. God damn it. Okay, well, I've turned off the other audio capture because that straight up didn't work. Well, that's a shame. I would have to set this up before because I'm not going to mess with it with you guys because no one wants to watch that. That's annoying. Oh well, we tried. Let me get these off. What the fuck is going on? Okay, audio's fixed. I apologize. That's not going to work. But yeah, but these CCTV in Hong Kong, they'll most likely fine you for jaywalking. Yeah, I mean, well, what they have here in Taiwan is like, it's not CCP, it's not CCTV, but it's like your neighbors will take a photo of you or a video of you doing something illegal and send it to the police, and then you get a fine. So it's like a mini fucking Gestapo or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's the most annoying thing in the entire world. So it's not like they don't have like, they don't have video capture per se. I mean, aside from, let's see what you guys said in the poll. Aside from speed cameras, which a lot of countries have, they don't really have that here yet. 64% of you said Taiwan could face a situation similar to Xinjiang. God damn. 25 people voted. People love to snitch. You know what people say about snitches, don't you, Blair? But they do love to snitch. That's one of the most annoying things. Also, I can't play this for you because the audio is fucked. But take a look at... That is the most Chinese-ass air I have ever seen. Like, that's ridiculous. Snitches get stitches. Blair knows what's up. Have you ever had a meetup in Taiwan? I've done one, but no one, not very many people went. So I was like, fuck it. Because my channel is very weird. It grows so incredibly slowly because my audience changes so frequently. Back when I did my channel in China, it was easy to get so many people to watch because people are interested in what life in China is like. But now that I live in Taiwan, no one gives a shit. And so a lot of my videos are focused more on, yeah, see, like this right here is exactly what China looks like. This is exactly how I remember it. Not saying I lived in a Xinjiang re-education camp, but like just aesthetically, this is what it looks like. A lot of my videos are like kind of more for Taiwanese people. Like just as an example, on Saturday I have to go to a baozi restaurant in Lugang in Zhanghua because it's the most famous, most delicious baozi in all of Taiwan apparently, and I wanted to go and try it for a video. But the problem is that they have a rivalry with another shop who other people also claim is the best baozi in all of Taiwan. And so I thought it'd be fun with me and my friends go and settle it and just kind of try both and see which one is better. And I think Taiwanese people will like that kind of video because they love food and it's all they talk about. Like what we're talking about right now, Taiwan under Chinese control, Taiwanese people don't fucking care. They don't care. For the most part, like they care about food. And I think Taiwanese people enjoy that video, but I know that most foreigners do not care about what the best baozi in all of Taiwan is. No one cares. If I lived in Japan and I tried the most delicious ramen in all of Japan, loads of people will watch that. Best ramen in Tokyo, something like that, you know? Because it's Japan. But because it's Taiwan, no one cares. And so fan meetups don't really work because aside from, I think, you guys who watch these live streams, I don't really have a dedicated fan base, I think. Stan Lee says, I hope they don't have CCTV for jaywalking in Taiwan. I jaywalk often. I don't think they do. And a lot of people jaywalk in Taiwan too, so it's fine. Perpetually gray. Yeah, that's exactly what China is like. How much of your audience is from the US? Does it tell you? It does. I can actually, let me just not share my screen because I'm not entirely sure how much personal information. I rarely look at my analytics. Very rarely. Because it just bothers me. You know, like if I release a video and it doesn't do well and I'm like constantly looking at the analytics, then it's fucking the worst. All right, analytics, audience, let's see. We want to look at demographics, right? So just give it a minute. And I also haven't been releasing very many videos this month just because I didn't have any ideas. All right, age and gender, top. Okay, here we go. Top geographies. Now, this is in the last 28 days, but 78% of people are Taiwanese. So you guys watching this stream right now are a very small minority of audiences. It's 7.2% are from the United States, 1.8 from Canada, 1.2 from Australia, and 1.1 are from Hong Kong. But I can change it. We'll change it to, let's change it to the last year. And then, here you go. You guys can see this. So here we go. Top geographies in the last year. It's 82% Taiwanese. If you were to look at this data from like when I lived in China, nobody watched from Taiwan. It was like almost 100% United States. And it's also interesting to see my audience grow older. Like when I was starting out, most people watching were like 25 to 34. And now my highest percentage are 45 to 54, which is crazy. So yeah, that's my analytics, something I fucking never look at. So there you go. First time I've looked at it, first time you've looked at it. Really interesting stuff. Kyle says Californian here. Wow, Kyle, you're one of the, what did I say, 8% of Americans that watch. God, I would give an arm to get a good balza again. Yeah. Come visit Taiwan, homie. I still can't believe I've never met Blair. I think I say that every time I read her comments. One of the most trending things right now is bubble tea, and most people don't even know it's from Taiwan. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, Taiwan has very few cultural exports. Bubble tea is one of them that's huge, and like you said, it doesn't even matter because no one knows where it's from. I think most people assume bubble tea is probably from Hong Kong. I've always said that a small group of YouTube is far better for discussions. Yeah, I mean, if this was huge, I wouldn't even be able to, like, if I had that many people in the chat, I wouldn't even be able to read them all. Copper says, hey man, I'll watch literally every video you make. Cheers, dude. I appreciate that. And that's why I think earlier when people were saying they want me to go into the mountains and ride up there, you know, and they would watch it. And I think I think that's, yeah, I think Western people might watch that. Some of them, you know, that are maybe more familiar with my content, but Taiwanese people would never watch that. They don't care. Large channel lose its intimacy for the lack of a better term. Yeah, I think it depends. Like, everyone's different. Blair says from the USA, but not in the USA, thank God. I know Blair's Instagram is full of anti-American posts. Blair's a goddamn rebel. There are enough food videos. Yeah, I agree. There's enough. Like, all Taiwan's. I wanted to show you. If you look at, like, they used to have a trending page in Taiwan, but they just got rid of it, like, really recently. They just got rid of the trending page. But if you look at Taiwan's trending page, it's all food. All Taiwanese people watch are food videos. So I know there's enough food videos, but it's all Taiwanese people watch. Actually, I stopped drinking bubble tea regularly after high school. It's most foreigners and kids who still enjoy ordering it. Yeah. Oh, God, don't ask Blair what's wrong with the USA. This is just going to get... Yeah, see where to start. This is just going to get... But Blair's gonna go off. Do you still keep in touch with Winston and Matt and Brown Eye? God, I get this question every stream. Yeah, I still talk to them. Blair says, when I lived in Taiwan, I gained 15 kg just from bubble tea. I had to really cut back on that. Yeah, a lot of people think that when they move to Asia, the food's going to be really healthy and they'll lose a lot of weight, and that's just not always true. Like, it isn't really that healthy. You're going to be eating a lot of like rice and noodles with oil, very little protein, I think. At least not very little, but just less than you would be used to in the West, Like if you look at like Taiwanese people will happily have luo fan for lunch, which is just like ground pork and rice, but like very little ground pork. Like the majority of that meal is rice, and that's their lunch. Like most Westerners would leave that meal feeling very hungry. So I think maybe like what they're eating isn't healthy, but the amounts they're eating maybe is a bit better. But yeah. State one reason, you hippie. Good God. Bro ignored the real question. Mango shaved ice. Maybe do a video of going to the outer islands. They're pretty chill. Yeah, I did that. I went to Madzu. I made 2 videos and it was the best. I loved Madzu. I thought Taiwanese people like street interviews / social experiments too. They probably do. I just hate doing it. I think you'll do well with the day in the life videos. I don't know. I don't see. I've tried that before too. I think my other issue too as a YouTuber is I don't have a niche. I'm not focused on anything. Like, yeah, I live in Taiwan, but it's not like you're trapped between 2 audiences, because I'm more comfortable making videos for you guys, the Westerners, because that's where I'm from, and but people don't care about Taiwan, so it's like, okay, well then I should leave. I should go somewhere interesting and make videos about that. But I like living in Taiwan, so I don't want to do that. And it's like, okay, well, let's focus on a Taiwanese audience. It's like, well, that's hard, And if you want to see how that's done correctly, how that's done, let's play this video in the background while I'm chatting. If you want to see how that's done the best way possible, then Ku Demong, Ku's Dream does it the best. Like, his videos are so popular with Taiwanese people. I watched your videos because you don't make any food videos. I'm Taiwanese. Ah, shit. Well, I appreciate that. I apologize. Every time I travel to China, the food is great, but it tears up my gut. Yep, pretty much. Do save more money and feel healthier by no booze? Yeah, for sure. Not drinking is the only reason I can do YouTube full time. Because it's not like I'm doing YouTube full time particularly well. You're like, I don't make very much money at all. It's not enough to live on. It's just because I've saved so much from teaching. Yeah, if you don't drink, you save so much, especially if you drank as much as I did. You save so much money. And it's also like, you do feel better, like generally speaking, but you still, it comes with the issue that you're taking life in the face, just kind of raw dogging it. You know what I mean? Like, when you want to celebrate something, what do you need? Well, you need booze for celebration, right? You need a bit of champagne, some wine. Well, now you can't have that. When you're having a rough day, you had a bad day at work, it was stressful, you come home, what do you want? You want a cold beer. Well, you can't have that. You got to just face it, You're stressed out over your relationship. What do? You go to the bar, you fucking cry to the bartender and drink a bunch of beer. Well, you can't do that. Like there's no sort of crutch. You just have to face life. But that's the way life's meant to be lived, so that's that. The first video I watched was the one you did with another YouTuber in a street interview style. Really? I wonder who that was. Oh, Peggy for show. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, so that was... When the hell did I do that? That was fun. I haven't... Peggy's like blowing up lately. She's so popular. Just make your video title in Chinese. It is. So what you guys don't see, if your YouTube settings are set to English, you'll see my English title. If your settings are set to Chinese, then you'll see the Chinese title. So I actually have both. I have both English and Chinese titles. It just depends on what country you're watching from is what title you actually see. And it's not just the title of the video. Like, you also have to understand that Taiwanese people are just into different things than Western people, you know? The algorithm works in mysterious ways. I don't remember why they served me that video up. Well, I'm glad they did. I'm glad you're with me, Kyle. Sounds like you're caught up in the middle, Prozzy, but do what you like doing. And yeah, that's pretty much the plan. And that's why I've been doing so many live streams this week. This is like my third live stream this week, just because I was like, I really want to make a video, but I don't really have a topic I want. And sometimes it comes like where the harder you try to think of a topic, the more difficult it is, you know? It's like writer's block. Like, I'm sure, and it's like that with anything. Like, I'm sure if you guys maybe you guys like drawing, or maybe you guys you like writing stories, or maybe you like anything where you're producing something creatively, right? The harder you try to think of an original idea, the more difficult it gets, and then you realize like you can't, like there's no way out of it, and you just kind of have to let it go, and eventually an idea will come to you. But I still wanted to make a video, so I was like, fuck it, I'll just live stream. I don't live stream enough, and it's fun, you know. Like chatting with you guys real time and going over topics like this that I have a hard time with, because I can come to some conclusion. Like I had that idea of like, what would Taiwan look like under Chinese control? And I'm like, well, it's complicated because how do they get control? And then what Chinese policies would be implemented in Taiwan? And then what policies would Taiwanese people actually care enough about that would make the video interesting? Like, what's stopping someone from, like, if you want to watch the video, maybe you'll watch the first 3 minutes, listen to the first point, and then click off because you're like, well, I'm Taiwanese and I don't care, you know? And so I was like, well, maybe I should focus on the everyday life. Like, how would it really affect Taiwanese people? And then I'm like, well, would it affect them at all, really? Like, they would still go to work. They would still have the same problems in their lives they do now. They just wouldn't be able to vote, and maybe there'd be a bit more military. Like, but would it change that much? And it's like, if I say no, it's like, well, that's almost offensive, because then it's almost like I'm inviting the Chinese over here, right? And I was like, well, maybe I'll do a live stream and I can chat with you guys about it and get a better idea of what the video should be. Like, what's the central idea for the video? And now I've come to the conclusion that I'm just not going to make it because it's way too, it's just too fucking complicated. Anyways, and so you guys can see how sometimes, I won't call it difficult. It's not like I'm not suffering. It's just frustrating sometimes trying to think of ideas that are good enough and to make a video that's concise enough. Blair says, I was sober for a bit, and it's the social situations that were the worst to deal with. Talking to randos without a beer is rough. Yeah. I mean, it's annoying for me. Like, I still go out with my friends and stuff to bars, and it's still hard for me to chat with other people without coming off like a total dick. Like, I take Chinese lessons now, and most people in the school are terrified of me because I'm so not easy to talk to. Like, I'm just not nice. It's terrible. But it's one of those things, again, it's like, because you're taking life in the face, you have to learn how to be social with people and slowly get better, and then eventually I can learn to just be nice, because being nice to people is cool, I guess. And so maybe I'll get better at talking to people and being a bit more charismatic, or maybe I'll find out that it's not something you can change. Like, maybe you're just not charismatic, and if that's your personality, you know, who knows. Go to Xiao Liuqiu next time for snorkeling and scuba diving. There's a lot of sea turtles. Yeah, I don't really do scuba diving. I don't like animals. Is the Falun Gong popular in Taiwan? Yeah, pretty popular. They wanted to sponsor me because they own that dancing group. What the fuck are they called? I don't remember. It's like a traditional Chinese dancing thing, and they wanted to sponsor me. I didn't end up doing it, but they're in that sense they're kind of popular. Although you say nah. What about a Q&A live stream? Easily turn that into a video. Yeah, maybe. I think in order for there to be a Q&A video, people have to be interested enough in me. How does that saying go? In order for there to be a behind the scenes video, there has to be a scene to get behind. And I don't know that enough people are behind my channel to really care to watch a video of a Q&A, you know, if that makes sense. I've never seen a video from the Wuchi fish market near Gaomei. Amazing freshly caught seafood. That would make a great foodie video. Here's the address. Let me have a look. Let's get this up on Google Maps. Let's hope my internet doesn't explode, because it's not exactly the fastest. Here we are. It's very close to where not very close to where I live. It does look pretty cool though. But is it one of those fishing markets where you have to like listen to me bitch and moan? Like, I wonder if it's one of those ones where you have to like get up really early in the morning. Wuchi Fishing Harbor. God damn. That's pretty cool. They have like restaurants already set up. Have I been here? I must have been here. Just straight up buy some fish. Yeah, I would have to think of like what the title of the video would be. Like if I was Ku, you know, who's the biggest foreign YouTuber in Taiwan, then the video would be like, I went to every single fishing harbor in Taiwan, or like what's the best fishing harbor? Like he would make it like a competition, you know? I must have been here, but I don't recognize it. It looks pretty interesting though. But yeah. Sometimes it's inspiring to espouse solutions. Sure. In relation to the topic selection. Oh, okay. What are your thoughts on the cult in Taiwan? I have no thoughts on cults in Taiwan. Maybe you just didn't reveal yourself enough. You're pretty reserved for a YouTuber. I used to share a lot of my life. And then I had a crazy ex-girlfriend who decided that she didn't want to be in any videos. So she made me delete them all. And we broke up because of some pretty horrible stuff. And I called her a bad word, which I shouldn't have done. I'll fully admit that. And then she tried to sue me. So since then, I've been I don't like to share things like who I'm dating or who I hang out with or where I hang out because of that. There's just too many people who are a bit malicious, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm brave to talk about this. Talk about what? What the fuck was I talking about? We're talking about a fishing village, weren't we? What do you usually do during Lunar New Year as a foreigner living in Taiwan? Fucking nothing, dude. Lunar New Year in Taiwan as a foreigner sucks. Blair went here in 2017. Good food. I'll have to check it out then. It might be a fun, kind of easy video to shoot. How is the social scene for a foreigner in Taiwan, by the way, specifically Taichung? I consider retiring early and getting a gold card to live in Taiwan semi-permanently. What's the social scene? I mean, it depends. Like, what social scene are you into, right? Like, I mean, if you have a hobby, you'll find a group of people who will share that hobby, and you'll make friends that way. Probably local Taiwanese friends too. But it depends on the hobby. Like, for example, I like hockey. Go figure. And I only played one game with them, but I want to start again. I broke my foot playing with them, but they play ball hockey, and I met a bunch of new guys that way. But they're all foreigners, right? So it depends. If you're asking about like bars, there's bars, I guess, but I don't want you to get the wrong idea. Like, because there's no zoning laws in Taiwan, you're not really going to find an area of Taichung that is just for bars. They're kind of spread out across the city. So I find that a lot of people, when they come to visit us, you know, like different foreigners or other YouTubers, we just had a backpacker Ben, another YouTuber, visit us. And I could tell that he wanted, you know, I think he's used to this Western idea of like, we'll have a few beers here, and then we'll go to the next place and have a few beers there, check it out, go to the next place, and people don't do that in Taichung because like the next place is usually really far away or just empty. Are there any ice hockey teams in Taiwan? I think you can play ice hockey in Taipei, but definitely not in Taichung. There's no ice. Do you need to enroll in a language school to make friends? I don't think so. I mean, I enrolled in a language school and I didn't meet any friends. In fact, I already knew them before I enrolled, which is why I enrolled. But I'm sure you could. Like, the language school that I go to organizes like trips and stuff, you know, like they'll take the students to, like they had one that they were going to do, but it got postponed because nobody signed up. They wanted to go to like a wine tasting event and then a taro museum. So yeah, there's that. Like that's pretty much, but, and a lot of them I can tell are friends. But you know, yeah, it depends on your hobby, you know, like Alan keeps encouraging me to find people to go ride motorcycles with, but I don't even know how to I wouldn't even know how to go about doing that. You know, there's Facebook groups and stuff I've joined, but I don't know. I also like riding my motor. A lot of the stuff I like to do by myself. I'm a see you next Tuesday, if that makes any sense. So, you know, not super easy to get along with, I think, in person, because I'm so... I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, I'll tell you a story, or if anything's wrong with me. Like, me and Alan went to a pool party, and there was this girl who was... she was kind of young and somewhat pretty, and she was talking to Alan, and I was filming, and then I just wasn't really paying attention, and then I put the camera down and she's like, hi, where are you from? And I was like, I'm from Canada. I'm like, where are you from? She's like, I'm from Taiwan. I'm from here. But she said it so like, as if it was so matter of fact, you know, like, cause she's Asian, but like, that doesn't mean she's from Taiwan. She could be from anywhere. And I was like, okay, fucking relax. I just walked away. Cause I don't care. Like, I don't need that, you know? And Alan laughed about it later because we were talking about how different his personality is to mine because he's so charismatic and all he wants to do is make friends and chat with people and he wants to make sure that that person likes him and he wants to make sure that that person's having a good time and is having fun. And that's why it's so easy to like Alan. He's so charismatic. But don't give a fuck. I'm so bad at that. But and so anyways, I don't know why. Taro Museum, established by coup? Yeah, who knows? Lucas is in the chat. What would Taiwan look like under Chinese control? I was talking to a girl in a bar. Prosy story. Well, I mean, how long have we been in this? How long is this chat? How long has this been going on for? 2 hours? You know, the live stream is flexible, but we can go back to talking about Chinese control. I still have these posts up, if you want. 110 minutes, yeah. You know what's crazy? So I've been looking into streamers lately, because it's interesting to me. I don't know. I thought, because I've been live streaming so much this week, I'm like, people do this for like a living, don't they? Dude, these people live stream for like 8, 9, 10 hours straight. Like they don't stop playing video. I'm like, that is mad. That's crazy. Like my longest live stream was like 4 hours. And that felt like an absolute marathon. American streamers, yeah, like Moist Critical, Arms Gold. What's that guy? He started off playing League of Legends. Like these guys just stream like for fucking crazy. Damn, live streaming a lot lately. Flying to Thailand on Monday. You should book a flight so we can go island hopping for 2 weeks. Yeah, I've never been to Thailand, but yeah, Asmongold. That's his name. Yes, thank you. Yeah, these people stream like all day, and it's fucking crazy. So I just don't know how that would even work. Playing games, yeah, that's the thing. Like my streams are so like content heavy related. Like I'm having to pay attention. Like I pay attention to the chat, I think, somewhat frequently, because it's just fun for me. And then also I like to have a topic, like today's topic, and it just requires a lot of talking. And then that gets like, it's hard to do that for hours and hours and hours. You got to see the Gen Alpha streamers. Well, this is the crazy thing, and I really wish to God I can get this stupid audio to work, but I'm not sure how patient. I don't even know how many people are even still in the stream. 63. I'm not even sure how many, how I'm dipping in views, but I wonder how patient people will be, because I want to try and... There was this idea I had that I thought was hilarious. I mentioned it early in the stream, where 80% of the streams are just video reactions. Yeah. But it was so fun. I was just going on YouTube and I was donating. I don't have very much money. I'm quite poor, so I wasn't donating very much. I'm talking like 30 NT, which is like $1. And I was just donating to random Taiwanese streamers and seeing if they could read English, because I had this idea of ranking Taiwanese streamers English. But it was somewhat cruel, but kind of funny, because they're playing their game and they're watching their chat, and then they see a super chat come up and they feel excited, and then they look again and they realize it's in English, and you just see the panic come over them, like, God, I have to read this, you know what I mean? Like it's a super chat in English. And I was having a great time, just myself. I wasn't recording it, I wasn't streaming it or anything. I just thought it was hilarious. And I want to turn that into a video, and I thought maybe we could try that with you guys now, but I would have to wear my headphones in order for you guys to hear the audio clearly, and for whatever reason, it ends up doubling the audio. In fact, okay, good, yeah, you guys are still connected to this microphone. And I can do it in OBS if I had time off stream, but I don't want to have to mess with it now, because it's not like you guys have all day. You've been in Asia for how long now, and you haven't been to Thailand? What? You should do some Southeast Asia traveling. Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, etc. I guess I think I've lost interest in those countries, particularly since I stopped drinking. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just don't care about... I mean, I've been to Vietnam once. I talked about that in the last stream. But I just don't give a shit. Like, most people go to Taiwan to smoke weed, and I don't smoke weed. I like Thai food, but like, am I really gonna travel just to eat? You know, like I just don't. There's nothing culturally significant in those countries that I care about enough to see. But yeah. Yeah, video react and then posting just without any sort of post-stream editing. I did that with the last stream. The last stream we reacted to Chinese tourists together. It was a good stream. It was fun watch. And then I cut it up and released it as an actual video, and it didn't do. It's like 10 out of 10 shit views. No one cares. Horrible video. Maybe I'll try it again. I don't know. Those streamers make skits and perform, not just totally themselves. Just tuned in. Your live streams are great. Keep going, man. Cheers, Phil. I appreciate that. Taiwanese are a little shy when it comes to speaking English to foreigners. Sometimes. But that's why it was so funny and cruel. I did that when Tantan was still a thing and the girls live streamed. They would write nasty comments in English and laugh at them trying to say what I was saying. Isn't Tantan a dating app, though? Maybe it's the mic on your headphones. Yeah, I'm trying to think. What would... If I wanted to add... It wouldn't be audio import, would it? It would be... It would be, or maybe it would be audio input. But I don't want it to use the microphone from my headphones. So would it just be media source, I wonder? I did it 2 days ago and it worked just fine. And now I can't remember how to do it at all. Because I didn't have the headphones on. Like I didn't have the headphones on when I started the stream, and now if I throw them on, I'm not sure if OBS is able to like, well, I'm sure it would, but I did just try that. Let me see, if I go back to scene, we've got mic. Which is coming from the computer. Screen. And then audio import capture 2, which I'm not even sure what that is. I don't fucking know. But anyways. Yeah. I think that's it though, guys. I don't have much else to say on the topic, but I appreciate you guys watching. I'm still not entirely sure if I'm going to make a full video on this. I think it's interesting. I did have a look on YouTube and no one else has made a video about it. It's just so complicated. But I like the idea, so we'll see. But you guys did help me with the with being a little bit more clear on what needs to be said. And yeah, feel free to message me for future live stream ideas. They're really fun. I think reacting to content with you guys is really fun. We did that last time. But yeah, thanks for the super chats I got earlier on. And thanks for watching. It's been a pleasure. I just gotta I don't know how many people find this interesting. Like when we're talking about sponsorships and how they get a hold of me, it's like it's so fucking sketchy. Like all the phishing scams out there. I'll read you guys. No, I won't read you guys. That might not be very professional, just in case it. I get so many emails from different companies, and like so many of them are scams. So many of them are scams. Just straight up phishing scams. Like fake accounts, fake companies offering me sponsorships, and then what happens is they'll send you a link or they'll send you whatever, and then you click on it, and then boom, your whole YouTube channel's gone. So it's just like the worst. And so I have to be really careful when I get these emails, because it's like, well, if I ignore them, then that's money I'm leaving on the table potentially. If I reply to them and click the wrong thing, then like my whole thing's gone. Why is my stream so far behind? Oh, I know why. Okay. It's just the comments stopped, so I thought you guys stopped commenting, and I thought my stream fucking froze for a second. Yeah, good. I think that's it. I hope it was a satisfactory stream. Enjoy your weekend. It's coming around the corner. Stay safe. Au revoir, mon ami. Goodbye. Stay positive. Keep your stick on the ice.